All right, so we're here at the Gold office down in Salt Lake City here. Gold and Neureal. I guess we got Neureal on the door there as well. So I'm here with Bill Rice, and we thought we'd do this is our first time being on a live broadcast, but we've been having a few really fun conversations last couple of times we've met. Right, Bill?
Yes, we have some better conversations in my life.
Oh yeah, really?
There's still a lot of people who want to talk about this stuff and really go to the level and that we do. Not to mention, just having a understanding of technology, of what's coming down the road, what futuristic sort of topics sort of melded with the current state of the internet and all things related to it. So yeah, I greatly enjoy our conversations. I greatly do.
That's awesome. So I better turn on my vibrate here so we don't get a bunch of dings in the middle of this. But we've been pretty what do you call it, relaxed with these things. So sometimes on these videos we've been we don't worry about or whatever what am I trying to say? We don't
try to be too formal.
Yeah, we don't try to be too formal. Okay, so but we're going to try to talk a bit about where we are with the office sale and the funding and how we can go forward with that. And Bill's been awesome. He's a pretty high end. Got a lot of experience under his belt, marketer, and I think it's a really, really good fit for us, and I'm really excited that he's excited about all this stuff. And I think that we can. He's willing to kind of jump in and try to help push us in whatever directions we got to go. So, and he's right here with me, so we can have these kinds of face-to-face things that are pretty good as well. Anyway, so I just want to kind of go over really quick just where we're at. So where we're at is we just finished up our first month of the Start Join project, the real project for the alpha sale on the Start Join site. And we were able to get about 1,000, was it?
I think you said like 3,000.
3,000. Yeah, it was $3,000 worth of interest. I had set the bar pretty high at 10,000, so we didn't get the funding, but we were at least able to get that bar. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad you don't get that 3,000.
It's okay though.
That's all right. It shows level of interest, right?
That's right. And so now we have the chance of starting it over, getting it going again, and doing it a little different this time. So that's why we're here, is to kind of maybe hash that out a little bit, or whatever. So.
Yeah. Well, again, as you and I talked about a little bit before we started, is if I can help, rewrite that, I'm trying to come up with a list of priorities of what can I help develop, articulate, put together as specific promotions to get, to help get some additional funding, get this thing going, get it in front of thought leaders, get their interest peaked. So my goal would be to, maybe I'd like to come up with a list of, say, half a dozen priorities that I can be working on over the next 30 days to get Neureal known,
right,
more widely known, and of among the people who have some knowledge about it, to get maybe get them contributing to where we can reach a funding goal, and then have a little bit of a seed money to just keep building on. So
right. And you're not alone. I mean, there's everybody else is out there, on the team too, that can help out too. So
great. And I got I've been just kind of coming into this as, I guess, sort of a lone wolf so far. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and getting to know everyone on the team as time and space permits, and really having it be a collaborative approach. So as I think obviously I've started with this, like, can we get it down to one page that really nails the gist of what Neureal is about,
right.
and that it can speak really clearly to a variety of audiences.
That's right.
I realize that not everybody is going to have the same level of understanding, but I want to have of the people who could be possible investors, possible contributors, developers. So from a fairly techie side to a more, okay, I'm, just more interested on a investment side, or just trying to understand on an AI blockchain side, get the gist of what this is about. Obviously, I'm doing it for myself right now because I'm trying to get my brain around. I'm starting to get there. I think I'm making progress. But starting with that one pager that then would allow me to develop that out into more of maybe a higher level white paper. And again, just another educational piece that we can put out there, but then take that and adapt it to specific promotional things. Anyway, what I was going to say before was I want to do this as an open source, a collaboration. So, it's really a living, these things should be living documents. I mean, I'm working with what I know and what I can gather. It's been valuable for me to put those up on the Hangout, and put them on the G Drive and get feedback from people. And I've been trying to integrate that feedback into a new version of the documents. But I want this to be, this obviously needs to be collaborative. And so really, I'm looking for everybody's guidance of how can I best help, given my background of, doing technology marketing, trying to understand and articulate technology for different audiences, for different uses, so that we can build some buzz around this, right?
Well, and we're all kind of in the same boat. We're all kind of learning about it, and we're all finding our path through it as together. Is this from this idea? The idea is to combine the basic idea, combining cryptocurrency or the blockchain with artificial intelligence, making a platform for that, and that's the basic idea. And we're all kind of working, all of us. There's I can start naming off Jordan. He's done an amazing amount of stuff thinking on this, an amazing amount of stuff. He's written white paper and Brock as well.
And that's the technical one, right? Which I saw.
Well, and it's not even super technical. It's more architecture.
How the architecture works.
Right. It's not actually, it's not the underlying technical particularly, but it is the architecture. Like, how can this thing work and work in a, what's the best way for all the pieces to fit together, and how can that, be the most beneficial? So that's what his is about. I don't know if you've read that. But
I looked at it and I found that it was like, wow, this is getting way down.
So we're all struggling to
and that's essential to have that. And I need everybody's input and help and guidance to, at what level do we need more content? I don't know. I mean, because I keep finding stuff. I think the videos that, especially looking at the scripts, I mean, I've watched the videos, but those scripts give a good high level gist. And I felt like, I felt like there were pieces of it I still didn't understand. So I tried to articulate some of that in this one pager that I've been working on. But I need to understand, who do we need to talk to? What do they need to hear? And how can I best help create that? Because that's what I do in my work, I mean, especially is to,
So hopefully Brian Nelson can help you out mainly with that. That's kind of an area that I know a lot about. I know there's a lot of people out there. I know some people that I've worked with, people, I mean, that I know, like, I've got a list of names and different people that are kind of, have come up in my, there's a list of people that have come up in my awareness that have kind of a matching thing. For instance, the recent group, the recent people are, that one guy that Gavin mentioned, the guy that's actually working with the OpenAI.
Right.
So he is a good person. So anybody that has kind of the same vision or a similar vision and already, right, and is doing a project or something, we can all benefit each other. We've had meetups with, Google Hangouts with people at Mementa, for instance, the new pick, the AI guys who have an big open source community for doing AI.
I know this is new to me. What is it called again?
Mementa. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at, actually, I just pulled up this document on the Google Drive called Influencers, I think.
Yeah, there's all those people too. And, and Brian knows the bigger picture. Like he mentioned that there's someone that there's a couple investors that that worked on the latest big kind of cryptocurrency funding effort, which was Voxeless. And so it was Michael Turpin was the actual marketeer, but it was funded. His marketing efforts were funded by another guy who got quite a bit of money. So I don't remember his name, but Brian knows his name. So you know, we have all these contacts and we can talk about all this stuff and get the details.
Sorry, give me the name of that last.
Michael Turpin.
And before that, the Nupix.
Oh, it was Numenta.
Numenta.
Yeah, Numenta.
Okay.
So we've been kind of doing all this, and I've been kind of spearheading it, mainly myself. But it's awesome, Bill. That, someone of your caliber can come in and, and kind of do a lot of this stuff and kind of help out with that.
Well,
it's really awesome.
I just need guidance too. I need a lot of guidance because I'm just, really so far what I've been doing is probably more of an exercise for myself.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
And just
that's the way anything should be.
To make sure I can really, and it's true, and it's true when it comes to marketing, especially technology marketing, is that it should, the marketer needs to know really needs to know the value proposition as well as possible.
Yes, that's right.
And so yeah, this is kind of my exercise in that over our discussions and my attempts at these elevator pitches or whatever.
Well, and it kind of fits into the thing that you came into it with. I mean, your ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It fits into there. I think really well. It's a cryptocurrency 2.0 kind of a thing that you're thinking about. It really kind of is as a satellite around this larger community effort to put in reputation systems into cryptocurrency, and it's kind of a big, how would you say it? It's an elephant in the room right now, sort of. For the last maybe year, it's been an elephant in the room. It's been like one of those things that everybody thinks about. Not everybody, but a lot of people think about, and they're all like, "Well, this would be awesome. Why don't we do something like this?" So there's a couple of companies started. There was World Table.
Yeah.
There was that's where we
right.
kind of got going on that.
And then Open Reputation.
Yeah.
Was the other one.
Was their deal.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of people just talking about it.
It's
huge.
And that which is great, and very frankly, part of, and I've told you this, part of my interest in getting involved in Neureal is to see. The more I understand the blockchain landscape, and I also see, based on our conversations, that there's some real overlap between what Neureal does and can do, and my own ideas for a reputation network. My whole idea, of course, is around reputation as currency.
Yeah.
And that the blockchain being the foundation to really truly record reputation, sort of in various ways, so that as you engage with people, then people know how likely it is to be successful in doing something with you.
Yeah, and it's almost the exact same thing that you just said is what Marshall Thurber said to me on the phone. I don't know if you know who Marshall Thurber is.
In our first conversation, you had mentioned Marshall Thurber.
Yeah.
I went and looked him up, and I know he was sort of a protege of
Buckminster
Fuller, right? Yeah. So he basically was saying much the same thing.
Yeah.
I think in that conversation you had mentioned that as well.
It's where I picked up the word integrity. It brings integrity. I mean, the blockchain is about integrity. It's really integrity. It's like it's not going to go away. It's a very stable base, that you can always trust. Well, and that's the coolest part of it.
It is, and as you and I were talking about before we started the hangout, it's like that's the piece that's going to make AI and all kinds of other technologies where this is going so exponentially, right? Workable. I mean, having that reputation layer, that trust layer, that action as currency, reputation as currency piece of it will give us all the visibility and the transparency to operate in this brave new world.
Yeah, that's right.
Because in a lot of ways, as we've come to this point, as technology has gotten more complex, it's created a lot more vulnerabilities.
That's
too.
right. That's right.
So that particularly intrigues me. Both of those topics, I think that's why we've all, we hit it off, is that the AI thing really intrigues me.
Yeah.
The exponential, the singularity, the exponential endpoint, the whatever you want to call it, of technology, to where it starts to disappear and we start to disappear in it. It's a very real thing that's coming down the pipe.
That's right.
Along with the ability for people, the concurrent with the decentralization of everything that's already happening. And again, it's really as a result of the technology, the internet anyway, just like, and blockchain just furthering that to decentralize everything further, because those trust mechanisms are in place to do it.
Yeah.
So we decentralize things because we can go peer to peer. And now we've got, with the blockchain, we've got this trust layer that's woven through the peer-to-peer to allow, to really allow things to go to another level.
Yeah, that's right. So daily stuff, the stuff we do every day,
exactly.
It's right integrated.
But which are so bogged down in centralized systems and systems of needing to pay a lot of money for other levels of trust. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it all works together. It's natural that blockchain would arise along with AI, that would arise along with the internet and other peer-to-peer things going on.
Well, and there's a deeper thing too. So I was sitting there with Sam at the meetup, at the blockchain meetup.
Sam Smith.
Yeah, Sam Smith, and he was the one that kind of architected the whole reputation for the system.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing he was saying, I mean, as they spent a lot of time thinking about the details of that. I mean, they wrote a white paper and everything.
Yeah.
And so they took a lot of time. And what he was saying, he was a very, very intelligent person. He was saying that really, when you get into it, it's this whole morass, or what's the word, when you're stuck in the mud, like
a morass is good.
Yeah. It's this whole thing of of gaming. People gaming. I'm gaming. This whole gaming system, right? And so you always battle with different algorithms. So it ends up being all these algorithms that are actually battling
gaming
gaming algorithms. They're all bots.
Manipulating algorithms.
Yes. And so they're doing all this stuff, and I'm like, it's like the bird that flew trying to fly to Mexico or whatever, or fly south for the winter. And it goes smaller, and smaller, then it disappears, right? Flies up its own ass and disappears. It was kind of like that with this moment with him, because I was like, well, you have algorithm. What's the top algorithm?
Right.
What is the ultimate algorithm that you can have for a bot? What is it? It's AI. So it's going to go there anyway.
So, which is...
reputation is going to make it there anyway. It's going to be our agents. And that's what I think. And that's what I realized when he was talking now. I'm like, well, if you have this escalation of power, where is that going to go to? It's just going to go to the AI.
Right.
Because the AI is the ultimate of that.
Right. But is it correct then that blockchain it's what is going to enable the AI to have that?
No, it brings a level of
it brings a structure,
physical structure. But it's the AI that is going to be our personal empowerment for protecting ourselves. And that's really what it came down to. Not just protecting ourselves, but interacting in this world on an automated basis, different than we do as human beings.
Right.
Which is what we do. We do this as human beings anyway. But if we're going to create something that is going to help us, we need to go all the way. We need to have an intelligent agent, basically, on our side that interacts in this infrastructure of the blockchain, right? And there may be, there's a currency there, but what I'm saying is that it solves the gaming's problem. Because if this guy's AI, if you all have AI, then all the AIs are just working together. If he tells his AI, well, go screw this guy,
right?
Then that AI, then my AI is going to be like, well, no, and so they're going to do all the battling, and I don't have to do it. I can just live my life.
Right.
I don't have to like spend all this time trying to figure all that out.
Right.
I mean, we do it with money now. Is that what we do with money? Is that how we do it? We don't. We do it as human beings in general. It's like these guys trying to get me with my.
It's gaming.
It is gaming.
Or gaming in a bad. I mean, gaming used as taking advantage of manipulating for personal advantage.
Yeah, that's right. And if there is no way to do that because everybody has the same power, it's like everybody having a gun. That's what I told the guys down in Texas when I won the hackathon down there, down in Austin. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know if I should really say this down here, but, because I'm not a Texan myself, but I said that having AI is like having a gun. It's like having guns. Like who has guns in Texas? They said everyone.
Everyone, right?
I'm like, well, you all need AI too.
That's right. I'd rather have an AI than a gun, personally.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Much better.
Probably much safer.
Much safer.
So coming back to because we can go off.
Yeah.
And I do. I love it. I'll do that anytime, man.
Oh yeah, we're on the video.
But so again, I would love to have, what's a specific project that I can work on for this to help for Neureal to help, fulfill a goal in terms of promotion, in terms of helping to get funding.
Okay, so I'll just lay them out here, what I think we have. So we have the Start Join. We have the website with the page there. We have people that are interested. I think the people who are interested have come and been a part of it. I don't know if there's really any blockages there. There may be, like smoothness of, this is how you get in part of it. There may be things like that could, anyway, so we've got the alpha page, the alpha sale on Start Join. Oh yeah, so there's one more thing I forgot to mention, and that is Gold, who is, paying for this office basically, has their name up there. Gold is going to be working on funding. I guess they're really getting close to that. So when they do that, then most likely they'll be, putting some money into Neureal. Because he sees the power of that. So I'm not sure about all this stuff, but as far as it's Brian Sewell, and he's been working with Max Kaiser on Bank to the Future, and there's a lot of potential there. And Bill, if you're interested in being a part of that, I should get you in touch with.
I would be real interested in
Brian and get involved in that. At least,
especially if
find out about.
Find out about, but especially if that can help. Given how closely you're tied in with them, if it can help leverage everybody, if it raises all the boats, so to speak, to help, make these things happen, I'd be very interested.
Okay.
I mean, I really feel like the more I've gotten into this, the more I want to get into it because, I'm going to explore it at every level because, again, like you and I have talked about, I really feel like this blockchain infrastructure is critical to everything that's happening, everything that's happening. And it's also, of course, connected very much to my own vision with RepuNet's reputation network that, if somehow, as I'm getting more involved in this and helping others do it, and I can insert my own idea, which it's very likely somebody's already working on it out there. As they say, if you have a good idea, it's likely somebody else is already working on it. But that depends on you really having a good idea. So I don't know if my idea is really good. But I think, like you say, you've seen things that around reputation and blockchain being very much a part of it.
Yep.
I just want to see this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Because bottom line, like you and I have talked about, is like if these infrastructures happen and they come into place, everybody who wants to participate can, and everybody who does participate can gain value and have a layer of financial stability by virtue of being connected to a very broad web of value exchange.
That's right.
And if you're participating in that web of value exchange as a person who brings value to it, your own web, your connection to that web is just going to make you more secure and give you more opportunities.
That's right.
And so, and no longer do we have to go around and look for the big job or the big opportunity. We just constantly have small ones that we're building and nurturing and connecting to and keeping a livelihood going.
Yeah.
And being, not only that, but being able to foster new ideas, which may turn into something bigger and buy you a big house, whatever. I don't know. But it doesn't matter, because as long as these infrastructures are there, then and you've built it, then you can have you're supported. It's like being part of a community, right? It's like, if you're a part of a community and you have a good reputation with a lot of friends, and your financial security is way better off than constantly just applying to the big ivory tower to say, take me in, give me a job. And in which case you might get it, but then you're also, as soon as you're no longer needed, you're out and you're starting completely from scratch. And whereas this other web thing,
it's more the entrepreneur spirit.
And it's sustainable.
It is sustainable.
Whereas these big things are not as sustainable. You get a big thing, you get a 6-figure job working for the man. It's great until you get laid off, and then so it's these big. These others are it's a more sustainable web.
Well, and they're leveraging the inflation as well to try to stabilize that. Right. Because as those things, they just print more money, and then the more money goes out to those big people, and then that keeps the ivory towers up. Yeah. So that's the way they do it. But that, ultimately that's going to fail, and what's going to be left over? It's just like it does in all the other countries. And so, just because, what do you call it? What's that country? Argentina?
Where their whole economic system failed.
Just because it's Argentina doesn't mean it couldn't happen here.
Right.
In America or anywhere else.
Right. Well, that's the problem.
It has happened, and it does happen all over the place. We're just sitting here and we're like, okay, when is it going to happen here?
Well, and it's like you and I have talked about.
At it.
Yeah, it's like you and I have talked about. It's like these silos, these towers, these huge centralized institutions are likely to fail. But what they're failing into, what I envision is that they fail into this web. They failed, but underneath it is this web.
Yeah.
And those who have connected to the web and built interdependence rather than independence.
That's right.
It's like, okay, the big institution may fail, but you're in this web of connectedness, of value connectedness, of it, where you can exchange value, exchange resources, have reputation, use it as currency, have community. Yeah. Does it matter that the big thing failed if you have that?
Yeah.
I mean, our lives very likely could and will be different, but it's what, instead of loading my basement full of bullets and beans, I would much rather build this web of interdependence and connectedness to where if the big things fail, we've got our net.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work.
There's some GPUs.
Hopefully, I was going to say some bandwidth and some electricity to power.
That's right. That's the most important part in this.
But that's why everything needs to be decentralized, right down to power.
Yeah.
Power generation, internet connectivity. It should be mesh-based networks. And so blockchain is just this other infrastructure to allow the exchange of value and the exchange and the validation of trust, right? So, it fits perfectly into that. And so that's why, again, I just want to, I want to participate in all things around this as much as I can, because ultimately it's my own vision, my own dream to try to create this sustaining net or mesh.
Well, and the cool thing about it, what I realized about the cryptocurrency ecosystem or the cryptocurrency world is you can just jump in and just be the be a flag bearer. I mean, you can be for any particular part of it. If there's not something there happening, just put up their flag and say, hey, let's, if you want to be a part of this, here, let's congregate here.
Yeah.
Or, and that's what I'm doing with the Neureal. And, there's some sort of other competing guys, but they haven't been going, I don't think, as well as we are. I mean, I don't think they have the drive or the longevity or the belief in it or the whatever that I do. Maybe it's more just about the money, but so I've been that flag bearer for this, but if you could take that as well and you could be that. So what we're doing here, you could also do with that, and you already know some of the biggest players in the space, the world table is I don't even know anybody who's really jumped in there. Marshall Thurber, he lives right here as well.
He lives in Utah?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then there's also who's the other one? I lost it. There's somebody else doing it. Oh, there's this guy in our meetup group who's just way into it. That's all he talks about. Matt Scott.
Okay.
And so he's really big in that as well. And I think there's a lot of people around the world too.
Well,
but I haven't seen much of anything, right? There's probably some other things. There's an ID one, which is really part of it.
Right. Which I think is a big piece.
Yeah, the more you look into it, you'll find more and more of that out there. But it's always, if you can get to the point where there's big people getting these ideas, I really think that it would be really weird if Elon Musk and Sam Altman did not read the Neureal stuff and get the ideas from that they're doing right now. In some way.
Yeah.
Whether it was through some other people who read Neureal and then they got it. But they're now saying,
AI, right?
Yeah, now they're saying out of the blue, oh, this is the solution, which is exactly the solution that I've been saying we've been saying, meaning, Neureal has been saying for a year and a half now. And now they're saying that, where'd they get the idea? So that's usually the way that stuff works. So, once you get going out there, you'll get into those kind of things. And so you can carry that flag. There's no reason you shouldn't. And you've got the right connections, right here.
Well, and I'm excited to do it. I mean, I think
of both of them.
I really want to, the more you can help me meet the people within the landscape, what's going on.
Right.
I'm not daunted to go and meet people and, just where can we make, I do that. I like to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I need guidance in terms of, just the more I understand, the more I'll be able to better do that. I'm sure. But, I'm really inclined to go to this blockchain event in San Francisco. We had talked about that. I think it's in February, even though it's just for a day.
Yes, get connected with Brian because he's going to be Brian Nelson because he's going to be the best. Okay. He's already been doing that for a long time.
Great.
He's talking about meetings. He's the guy that to be connected for that for sure. Yeah. And you know him already, so it's a no-brainer. So that'll help you there. I'll get you connected with Brian Sewell. I'll add you to our chat, introduce you to him.
Okay.
That way you can talk about. You can get to know more about gold, and I think there could be some stuff there for you as well.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now, if we go back to Neureal and the alpha sale, I over the time I've kind of figured out this thing, but just so everybody knows, the alpha sale is an ongoing sale. So it's a sale. It's just a name for people contributing money towards the development of Neureal, just like I would contribute code, or somebody else would contribute time spent at a conference talking about Neureal to people, time and effort put into the project, stuff like that. It's just a way for people to do the money side. And that's really all the alpha sale is. It's a way to do that and it works just the same as all the other contributions all the way up until the crowd sale. So we'll be doing the alpha sale until we get to the crowd sale.
Yeah, so the alpha sale is just basically getting enough seed money to get a few things moved further along.
That we might need, yeah.
It's sort of internal angel funding, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that you can then get it to another level.
Yeah, like Ivan was putting some in, and also Max Goff did as well. He put some in, and also Bryant or Greg was not helped out as well a little bit. Bought some for me, but let's see. And you did. Yeah, you contributed a little bit, and I contributed some too. Paying for a few things here and there. So, it's just that. It's just putting some money in to help out. So anybody's welcome to do that and get some benefit out of it. You don't have to buy from the other person if they don't want to. They can get real token right out of the chute, right? So, anyway, so as far as a direction to go to really make this thing go, I've got a fairly good idea in my head how that can go, but people like Michael Turpin and even our main advisor, Jonathan Johnston. No, that's David Johnson.
David Johnson.
Yeah, David Johnson. Anyway, and even him, they've been through the process themselves already with these other cryptocurrencies. They put on successful campaigns, and so they're the ones who really know what to do.
Okay.
I don't know exactly who to talk to as well as they do. I've never done it before. I was taking that role because nobody else really did or knew how as well. People helped out like they could, but not everybody was to that caliber or whatever. There's also the CEO of Cointelegraph, who's also interested in helping us out in that area.
So is it a matter of then?
Tony is her name.
Okay.
TLC, Tony Lane Castley.
Okay.
Yeah, she's awesome. So.
Well, is it a matter of? I assume that you've given, like the video you guys did, you've given this to them. Maybe other write-ups. Is there? What can I do? What can I create and package? Would it be a brochure? You've got the website. They probably have seen the websites. But what can I create and package to give to them that would help them share it with others? Is it even a matter of me reaching out to them?
Well, Michael, he's still kind of in the trenches of the Voxelis, but it's really going to be through Brian Nelson. He knows the people that they talk this needs to get to.
Okay.
So making something for him that he can give to these people.
Okay. So it sounds
the question is, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was going to say this. It sounds like really I need to schedule some time with Brian and ask him those questions. What would they need to help promote it? Because they already know about it, right? But they need to. You want them to.
Not all of them know about it. So
okay.
Even Michael knows about it. He doesn't, and David, they're not really the end guy. They're like the guy that does the work once the money comes in. So they talk with the other investors. They're the investor kind of gateway, right? So at some point, I think you have to go to especially if you're doing the marketing yourself and not Michael, you have to talk right to those other people, I think, or something. Okay. I don't know. I'm guessing this stuff.
Okay.
Brian would know better how that works, but maybe you have to just basically get Michael to give it to them. Once these guys get it though, and they say, well, we're ready to do this. This is going to be our next project. That's kind of the idea. Is you want those guys to say, yes, we want to now put our efforts into this, which means that we're going to start funding it, start, ramping it up, getting it to these people who have these connections and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then it goes big like it's done in the past, like Voxelis and Ethereum and basically looking at those guys and trying to figure out how that happened with them.
Okay.
But I'm assuming that that's the case.
Okay.
In the meantime, we can do this start join thing. And that has to do with Carl Gray, and we can either do our own bank to the future thing in conjunction with gold. Maybe that's the best way to work it. Is we just do it in conjunction with gold. Maybe you can help out bringing the Neureal side into that picture.
Yeah.
Doing whatever, offering that up as part of that, because he'll want that. That'll only benefit him.
Okay.
If he says I have Neureal as I have Neureal on my side for this, and that's going to help him out in his efforts.
Okay.
Like you said earlier. So
well, and so maybe again, so it comes back to if I spend some time on the Start Join page for the next month's fundraising, we'll still try to raise 10,000 there, right? Or how does that?
No, we can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want. Well, if we had 3,000 out of 10,000 last month, do you think those 3,000 would shift to next month? I mean, we just reach out to them and say we're going for a more modest goal or something.
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to do with the money though? I mean, what would we do? That's another thing we got to look at, because that's a big part of the marketing thing. You know, understanding like what are we going to actually do with that. So we have
is
about
development. Is it more marketing? Is it in order to
and the goals too. You know, and those you've seen those on the Apple page. We kind of threw those in. Now you may want to take a real good look at those. And really, maybe we should start fleshing that out together. Like, what are our plans so that when people put money in, it's not like we're just, hey, we got some money, let's go do some stuff,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's good to like have a good plan for that. And, and I think that may be something that we need to really kind of tie down. Me and Peter did it. Peter Stromeyer, that I've worked with a lot in the past, and we worked on that quite a bit this last time, and I gave him some coin for it. So he did the actual design of the page and helped me work through like a bunch of stuff. Plus everybody else kind of contributed to that as well at the beginning. Brian Bowles actually added some stuff in too. He's been on some of the other meetups that we've done. He added some stuff to that too. So, I really think we need to contact OpenAI and those guys, and that is probably the biggest high profile group that is on our path and doing what we're doing if anybody else I've seen.
Yeah.
Anything else I've seen.
I've got OpenAI.com, right? So right now they're just, that's right. I remember I looked at the page. It's a one pager, sort of a statement of intention, right? But the difference with OpenAI and Neureal is they don't have the incentivization process that you're planning with the blockchain, right?
That's right. So they're doing a traditional approach. They say they got $1 billion and they're going to fund particular projects that they think are
so they're just going to fund things that they feel are contributing to their vision.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, I'd say this contributes to their vision.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the most efficient. It's a hugely efficient way to do it because you don't have to.
What keeps them from going? What keeps them from saying, "Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. We're going to go create it."
They should.
Great, go get them.
We'll join up with them.
Yeah, right. We can help.
Yeah.
Right, because ultimately we just want these things created.
Yeah.
That's really it. We want these things.
It's not actually a competition. It's the idea. Right. It's I'm holding up the flag of the idea. If somebody else comes and says, "Hey, little guy, that's really nice. Let's I'll help you carry that on.
Carry that flag."
That's what it is. I mean, it's more efficient for them to just put money into Neureal than it is for them to create it themselves because we've already done a lot of groundwork. And who are they going to hire for their cryptocurrency side of it? I mean, who has thought about it more than me? And us.
Right.
I mean, I say me a lot, but because I'm like the flag bearer. But it's us. I mean, it's not just me. It's Jordan, Brock, put a ton into it. The whole Bitcoin community here in Salt Lake, all the people, the larger Bitcoin community, all the awesome things people do. It's just I've spent a lot of time on it, but I'm not the only one. And why wouldn't they just invest into something that is already started? And that's what you big companies like to do anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The only problem I see is that it's hard for people to bridge the gap of the legitimacy of a cryptocurrency or a blockchain kind of thing, and these guys that kind of come up from the underground,
right,
to bubble up like we are. It's like the legitimacy of that. It's hard for people to really recognize that. So what it needs is, like Gavin said, it needs, you need that deck. You need a traditional presentation, like as if you're a company.
Okay. So perhaps that's another significant deliverable I can create, which is that deck. I mean, we have a video and it gives an idea for sure.
But a deck would be awesome.
I can do a deck. I do decks. But
so a deck touches
a presentation deck.
Yeah, because that touches these like more traditional big money kind of players. And I think they're ready to, there's enough buzz in the marketplace. It's not so underground anymore. Blythe Masters or whatever her name is, she's picking up blockchain. People like that, it's like just mainstream. Mainstream people are doing it.
Yeah. It was interesting to read an article over the weekend that Goldman Sachs put out. I realize they're getting it, and but they're also, they were talking about, I think it was, can't remember the newsletter. I think it was the distributed. It's a newsletter distributed. It's a blockchain newsletter I subscribe to. But essentially that they're the distributed ledger, it's called.
Yeah.
And they, just basically saying this thing is truly, we hereby say this is going to be fully disruptive.
Yeah.
And
they finally admitted it.
And it's going to serve our purposes because it can reduce a lot of costs in financial transactions, of course.
Right, but they're still going through a learning process.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing with Elon as well, as an example. If he comes into this and he says, if he looks at Neureal, or if those guys, Sam Altman and those guys, if they look at Neureal and they say, well, this is a wild beast. We don't know how to deal with it. Okay, we don't know what to do. It doesn't make sense to us. They're going to come in kind of like that. And the thing is that they don't realize. They realize that just like the banks do, the banks realize that that there's a power to the blockchain, that there's this powerful thing that's going to disrupt, like you said. But what they don't get is that they can't control it. That's what they don't get. They think that they can control it. They think that them controlling it gives them the power of it, as well as they keep control. So they get the power and it, but they're going to lose the power. They're going to lose the power of it by taking the control. That's the whole, that's the intrinsicness of it.
And the reason is because it can just be, you can create your own fork, or you can create your own blockchain, right? You can do your own, but
people have to buy in.
But they have to buy into it. But if they buy,
and they will.
But they can, they will. But the people can also create their own blockchains. It's not like with the central banking system or a credit card processing system or banking system that so expensive for you to create your own. You would never do it. So therefore, you're going to give your trust over to these institutions that have it.
Exactly. That's a really good insight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really, really good insight. And they're not realizing that as well.
Yeah, because they can't control other people creating, because other blockchains where they can create their own trust mechanisms to go around people. They don't, they can work, it's peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no centralization, there's some centralization to it, but just like with the internet, it's peer-to-peer, and there's pipes, right? There's servers, there's providers, there's all of that, right? But there's this other peer-to-peer thing that goes around it.
Well, there's another aspect to that. That brings up a really good point, and that goes back to this thing that Nick brought up. That thing I was trying to answer. He was talking about that. He's talked about that a lot from the centralized kind of viewpoint. The thing about it is that those banks, as an example, those banks actually. They will have a place in these decentralized systems, because it's decentralized. It also includes the banks.
Right.
What's going to happen though is that their control is reduced.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
their costs will be reduced
as
while
well.
their controls being reduced.
Yes.
Right?
They won't kick them out.
Right. It'll be cheaper for them to do business, but there'll probably be less business.
That's right. But they're still making tons of money.
Right.
Because they've got the name.
Because a lot of people are going to continue to do what they're doing through that.
That's right.
But just like with what gold is doing and saying, you know, the blockchain allows the unbanked people to have banking privilege, to be able to borrow and lend money, but do it at a peer-to-peer basis with a high assurance of 2
trust. 2 billion people are not part of our banking system.
So it's creating an infrastructure for all of them that it's the centralized banking system just doesn't have time or capacity. Right. So and a lot of people who are already, you know, so reliant on the centralized banking system will start to see that these other alternatives exist, just like a lot of us did going to credit unions after the 2008 bust and realizing the big banks were utterly corrupt and, you know, screw them. I mean, that's what I did. A lot of people I know did. It's just like, I will no longer do business with those big banks because I won't support it. I'd rather support something else. And a lot of you, and especially if the trust web is there and people start to see and they start to use cryptocurrency and do these things, you know, where the cost per transaction becomes super low and it works and it's solid, there'll be an exodus.
Well, it's already happened. Bitcoin, it's happening. But the thing is it's not a
banking system.
It's not some crazy exodus though either.
Right.
You know, it's not like this crazy, like everybody just says, oh, this sucks, let's go. You know, it's more like people just have to incorporate in their lives. They're slow, they take a while.
Right.
So as they are introduced to it, as it spreads, it becomes more and more incorporated. Like I was saying earlier, I want to shut down the Bitcoin meetup group because I already use it. It's like so natural for me, you know, and so that takes a while for people to do that. So it's not like, and the thing is that, you know, these groups will not die. They're just like IBM hasn't died. They evolved.
You have
some of them die, but
they die if they don't evolve.
That's right.
That's always
that's right. That's right. So they can evolve into something too. So it's the same thing with Elon Musk and AI. We're in the exact same boat. He's doing that. He's doing his project, OpenAI, because of people like Google. He says, well, you know, what about Google? We don't want Google to have all the AI. So let's make this open source AI thing, you know, so that it is open source, so that not everybody, you know, it's not all the eggs aren't in one basket. Well, that is decentralization.
Right.
That is literally what decentralization is. Decentralized is not an adjective. It's a verb. That's important. I think we need to include that in our thing.
It's more of an it's more of an adjective.
It's a verb.
Well, if you say right, but it's a way. In other words, I think of it as a way of being or a reality rather than a. And it's a reality and it's a movement.
It's a movement.
Perhaps. It's a movement.
But it's not a reality because it always is decentralized. It's because we as human beings are decentralized. What does that mean? Where do you demark that range? Where do you cut it off and say this is decentralized, this isn't? You can't. You can't do that. Where do you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, our conversations are leading. What the conversation we were just having right here has led to that point. You know, everything we just talked about led to that particular realization that that is not a descriptive term. It is a constantly evolving thing. It's a relationship. It's like, how decentralized is it? You know, is it widely decentralized? Is it not very decentralized? You know, it's just it's an opposite way of describing, like, it's just a way of, there's another term. The term is how is the power distributed? How is the power distributed? And is there a change in that? Bitcoin is not about decentralization. It's about decentralizing. or
decentralizing.
Just decentralizing. It's the process of spreading distributing the power, not a particularly set point. It's not there yet. It isn't. If you look at the actual structure of Bitcoin, it's not there yet. It hasn't taken over the world. So just in Bitcoin itself, it's not completely decentralized either, because look at the owners. Who owns Bitcoin? Who has control of it? There are very few people. There are small people. They're an ivory tower with all these little owners. Bitcoin is like that. You know, I mean, that's the ownership of Bitcoin. It's not decentralized. So it's not.
The ownership is decentralized.
No, because it's an ivory tower. There are like a very small amount of people that own most of the Bitcoin.
Because they own most of the Bitcoins. Right. But the process of it perpetuating is decentralized.
Well, no, it's sort of decentralized, because still you're looking at you're still in the same boat with the miners. There's big groups of miners out there.
There's big.
And there are some that push the 50%, 51%. There are groups of them that can take that over. That's not decentralized in the purest word of tense of the word.
Okay.
So it makes sense, you know, to not particularly use that term in all respects. You know, you don't want to totally concentrate on that, because the truth is it's just not that. It's the decentralization, or you got to figure out some other way to say that. Distributing power, or leveling the playing field, like pushing it down. You know, it's got to be an active term, and that always sounds better anyway, doesn't it? Active things rather than descriptive.
Sure.
You know, it's like, this is what we're doing. This is what the system will help do. The system will help.
It's a dynamic, that we're just describing something. It's a dynamic process.
Yes.
But it's a dynamic process that's in a model to where it can't be usurped. It can't be controlled. It's still dynamic. It still serves. There's definitely influencers, right? But there's no control. There's no controllers.
Only because of human nature. So like, it gives everyone the power.
Well, it's like your analogy of talking about banks and their use of blockchain, and I mean their ability, because of the nature of it. They're gonna have less and less ability. You're not gonna have really the ability to control.
Well, and the key is what you said earlier. It's that it used to be the case that in order to have that integrity or to have that trust, you had to go to these big institutions.
Right.
But because you give people the power to do it themselves.
Right.
So it's about distribution of power. It's about spreading the playing field. It's like instead of there being a king who controls all of the bombs, if there was one person that could just blow up the world. Like if I could blow up the world, I would be like the power of the world. I would be very centralized power in the world. Nobody else could but me. I'm the guy who can blow up the world. That's very centralized in the sense that you want to think about centralization. But to pick away at that, to start giving everyone else the power to blow up the world, that is a process that is happening. That's what Bitcoin is like. Bitcoin is the spread. And the internet is the spread of power. It's the distribution of power. It's the distribution of power.
I like
giving everyone access to it.
I like to see it as a movement from dependence to interdependence.
Yes.
Because centralized institutions require dependence. You know, we're dependent on our government to protect us from invaders. We're dependent on the monetary system to create, make sure we have an economy. We're dependent on the local supermarket to have the stuff that we need to eat. Right? We're dependent on so many things like that. But it's not, I think about it a lot, it's not independence.
No.
Independence is part of it.
It's independence put together.
It is because in a lot of ways, we've actually, the pendulum has swung very widely in terms of personal philosophies to independence. We want to be self-sufficient. We want to be, we want our own house. We want our own, we don't want to depend on anybody. We want to be an independent country. We want independent in terms of being able to create enterprises, to be, it's a libertarian sort of attitude, right? We want to be able to do what we want to do. We have that personal volition to do it. But it's swung the other way to where we're creating and we are very dependent on all these things, other institutions to provide our financial resources, to build the walls around our castles, to whatever we're doing.
Yeah, what if all our basic needs, everything we needed to live and exist and have a good life, was all we could do that all ourselves, every one of us.
Right.
What would we do? We would just sit in our little cubby holes and no, I'm not. You're over there. You're over there. I'm not.
Stay away. Right. Stay away. And in a lot of ways,
we're not. We're going to start talking to each other. We're gonna be interdependent. We're gonna be dependent social because we want to be.
It's part of.
But that's the difference. If we do it because we want to do it, not because we have to.
Right.
That's the difference. And when we're forced into that dependence,
right,
that's when it breaks down. That's what we're going away from. That's what we're moving away from. Is being forced into that dependence.
Yeah.
Forced to put my money in this bank over here. Forced to
work for this corporation and pay taxes to that government.
Yes.
And go to that.
Just to have my basic needs.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of ways that I think people who are waking up are realizing that to break away from those centralized things, those dependencies.
Yeah, those dependencies.
And yet, along with that comes this mesh, this network, this internet, this whatever, that we're having this experience of interdependence, that we need each other and we can help each other in all these different ways to create livelihood, to exchange value.
Yeah.
And to find resources and to learn things and to have community, even if it's something as stupid as Facebook of who's a good vet to go to, right? It's like we build community, we use our community, we depend on our community, we contribute to the community. We're independent, but there's no and everything I need to know or have that's worth anything, I need to go to this central institution to find it.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's this wild, it's a cool, we're reconfiguring.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing is we're reconfiguring and we're reconfiguring in the context of the technology escalating at an ever rapid rate.
Yeah.
So it comes back to, again, in my mind, the AI of what are we going to be when we create the AI? Yeah. It's like we're recreating ourselves by virtue of the technologies that we have in order to, I hope, create the right AI.
Yeah.
And doing it in an open way with the right ethos, with the right systems that encourage these changes of being from independent, interdependent, decentralized. All those things are contributing to the way of being we need in order to operate within this new reality that's emerging.
Right. So it's the same thing, if everybody's included. So if somebody comes up with, Neureal is trying to just make that infrastructure available so that anybody can contribute, so that it's not stuck in these silos of Google, of OpenAI. I'm sorry to say it, but they're controlling the strings. They're pulling the strings, a lot of strings. It's not stuck in those places. But it includes those places. That's the key. So the key is that you include all of these centralized towers. You include them in the ecosystem. They can also contribute in Neureal. Google can contribute to Neureal.
Yeah, well,
why not? They have a massive AI infrastructure.
Right. Well, and these bigger institutions that are doing the research that have the.
That's it.
They have the mandate to create and find out and predict and get correlations and proof theories and all that. Yeah, and a regular Joe who has a great idea can plug into that too, right?
Well, he can use it, but he can't be the opposite side. That's what's missing right now. A regular Joe, like some kid in Iceland, I always bring up that. I don't know why. Probably because it's cold there, and they're stuck in their little rooms and they're programming, right? And they need a lot of GPUs to keep themselves warm.
The more they're processing, the warmer the room gets.
Yes, and hardware loves cold. That's why I keep mentioning that. I swear, it's going to be some kid out of Iceland. He's going to come up with something. The difference between him and Google is that Google has a way to, number one, make money off of their stuff. Right. Number two, they have a way to promote it and let people know about it. This little kid in Iceland or whatever, this genius, he doesn't have that ability right now. What does he do? Where are the resources? Right. Where can he learn? Where can he be a part of? Whose network is he in? Where is he involved? Where can he contribute? He can't. So Neureal,
there are to some extent, but not maybe. I mean, a kid can, there's open source projects.
You can contribute to open source.
There's forums and groups and
where there's no money.
But it's
just not money.
Right.
There's no money.
Right. There's no. Yeah.
So he writes this amazing thing. Awesome. He throws it up on an open source. But what incentive does he have?
Yeah, only building his own reputation to where ultimately it could turn into a job.
He's just a kid.
He's
a genius kid.
Right.
He probably doesn't think about this kind of thing.
So coming back to Neureal, then he can put something out there that it's contributing value to the network, to the infrastructure, and he can get. And if it gets used, I guess there's a way within Neureal to track or measure that. But if it gets used and integrated and creates something big of real value, then that value will flow back to him.
That's right. And that does not exist. That doesn't exist. Right. What do you have to do today to get money for writing software?
Yeah.
Running AI. You have to go work for
Google. Yeah.
Or you have to put in you have to have somebody on your team who can write a deck, like Gavin said, so that you can get a little money from the $1 billion that Elon Musk put out.
Right.
So you have to be able to write a deck to get some of that money. You have to write what they did, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't help the genius that's sitting in his room
unless he can connect to. And this actually, it's interesting. Unless it comes back to my own idea of reputation, because from the perspective of digital marketing, and I'm as I tell people, I have a virtual marketing agency, right? I work out of here. I work out of my home. I have no brick and mortar, and I work with a dozen or so really good marketing people who are really good at their niche, who are also working at home in their pajamas.
Cool.
And we're doing projects together because we can.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to have a brick and mortar, and they don't have to come, commute to a centralized place to work.
That's right.
And they don't have to. None of us are 100% reliant on each other for our own livelihood.
Yeah.
They're doing projects for other people as well. As I'm the only central point in their reality. None of them do work for me full time.
Yeah.
So they're connected to others. So they're building their own value chain. They're their own center.
Yeah, like that guy
just like I am.
You brought me over.
Yeah.
That was really interesting.
Yeah, Justin. Yeah. So same. He was.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Those are the networks I see too. On one hand, those things are already happening, and I'm sure it's happening a lot in the programming space. You're doing freelance programming, right? And projects, and people know you based on things that you do, and so you're working on their projects or whatever, and they have some centralized things. They're working with you because they know you and you have a particular reputation. But if there's a way that the kid in Iceland who's a coder, who's creating something cool, who starts to get connected to another person and starts to build some reputation with them, and then starts to get hooked into this bigger mesh where somebody can look, his nugget of skills and contribution can be seen and valued and judged, seen and valued and integrated, then he starts to get plugged in, and he gets more projects. Maybe he gets bigger projects. Maybe he gets a job offer from Google and leaves the net. Whatever it is, ideally plugs into something like Neureal to where he doesn't have to go anywhere. Yeah. He can just keep coding, and he's building this.
He doesn't have to be a marketer.
He's building this whole value chain around him, and he can connect to people like me who are marketers.
Yeah.
In some ways, I like to think of it as Impact Hub is sort of this version of what I imagine online.
Yeah.
Because it brings people together of all these different stripes and skills, right? It's a mashup place. It's what we do here. I collided with you. I collided with a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of work from this place because of colliding with people. Not colliding, but just showing up for things and having conversations and share. Oh, you do that? Oh, really? Yeah, you do that? Oh, wow. My very first day at Impact Hub, I sat down and was just just work on some stuff, and this is a cool place, whatever. And there's a guy on the phone, sort of at a desk next to me, and he's talking about Google AdWords, and you got to get the SEO, and get that fixed on the website, and then and he, I just said, introduced myself and said, sounds like we do a lot of the same kind of work. So what, I do this, interesting, huh? Yeah. We got to talk. Yeah, that's what he does. He's doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Well, we've ended up kind of creating a meetup of independent marketers where we got, he referred business to me. He used some people from my team, and I got an override on it. He's, it just began with that.
Really?
It began with that.
At the Impact Hub.
At the old one, at Exchange.
And that's how I met you.
Yeah, right. That's probably a year ago or so. Right? Just the run-ins, and so, a lot of business came as a result of that. But as I started to realize, well, he's got his own little web of people. I've got my own little web of people. We connected, and we're sharing resources. It's great. Co-working spaces provide a great ground for that. But let's create an online co-working space. Yeah. Where, so if I come, I may be, like right now, I'm actually looking for sort of an organization maybe I can start to shift my projects into, because I want to get involved with this stuff. I want to the more I get involved with blockchain related, Neureal, these sorts of things where, Ethereum. I want to create this new new economy and this next AI, not this next, the AI. Yeah, right? If I can take my skills and contribute to that, I will do less of projects selling stuff. Right. But I want a network that I can move my clients will be well taken care of. I can still get a piece of it. Yeah. And not only that, but as I get more involved in the blockchain world, it's very likely I'm going to find more business opportunities that I could be doing marketing for. Oh, totally. But if I'm I may just want to do business development. I like to do business development. I like to network, and I like to, but I don't like doing. I don't want to spend my days orchestrating marketing projects. I want to be working on building systems that help you. Systems. I want to hack the world. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really should do a project on that and try to spearhead it. It's very useful to be a marketer in this world, because I believe it's such a new. It needs to be articulated. It needs to be articulated. It does. It needs communications, because it's so new and weird. It takes a while to get your head around it, and it's taken me a while, and I've been working at it for a while to try to get my head around it. And I've got enough of a tech background. I've got some, enough context of things I can plug it into, and even then, I'm still quite daunted. But it's more. But that, I guess, getting back to the other stuff, it's just like these networks.
there's such a need for these networks. They're already happening. There's already things like Impact Hub that help facilitate it. Let's create these things online that really help facilitate it, that really help the guy in Iceland. And help anybody who wants to create livelihood, if somebody in Kenya who makes $3 a day herding goats, but has a smartphone, which by the way, a lot of them do. And if they can make an extra $2 a day by contributing some of the processing power of their phone to the Neureal network. How cool is that?
That's super cool.
I mean,
so that's literally what gold is doing.
And which is great. See, and
they're going even farther. I can't tell you the whole story, but they're doing what you're saying on a larger scale.
That's awesome.
And
it's how it should be. I mean, that's where I see the true value of what technology provides. I mean, it is that equalization thing. In other words, where everybody can be a contributing piece of the resource, be a contributing resource. You don't have to wait on, right now, anybody can educate themselves. That's an amazing thing. There's not enough of that going on. Talk about decentralizing an institution. Right?
That's right.
So
I like that. Decentralizing an institution.
There you go. Okay, I get it. Right, decentralizing an institution. So, but just to learn a few skills, to have a little bit of technology, and to use it to bootstrap yourself into a better world. And between the web and the blockchain, and it's there to do it. That's what I want to help create. That's what's worth working for. And
Yay! There's the pitch.
There's the pitch. So ultimately, however and wherever I can help further that, I want to do it. Neureal is an area where, let's do this. And let's do these other things too. And like I say, I think the more we're just kind of raising the flag for these things, making them understandable, making them approachable, building awareness to help them get funded, to get bootstrapped. I mean, to go get the momentum they need. It is potentially revolutionary.
More. So this stuff's been kind of growing. Just keep it going.
But it's like with the internet, it began with nodes, right? Just began with a few nodes, and it got,
That's right. It took a long time. But there were people who were stable and pushed and kept working on it, and those are the people who survived.
And the amazing part is, it all happened while the centralizing powers were essentially not getting it.
That's right.
And now it's fully embedded in the blockchain. I think is just taking the same shape. It's getting embedded in their systems to where really it can never be undone. So they're having to learn how to create control around within this thing that they really can't have control of.
That's right.
The internet is, they have control. There are entities that have a lot of control of the internet, but it's constantly sprouting backdoors.
It's like the music industry.
Right.
I mean, the whole it's disruption. Everybody talks about disruption.
Right.
But that's what it is. It's a disruptive process.
It is.
And disrupting, and what that means is you have these big corporations that have normally, or big entities that have normally
cartels,
been juggernauts,
Cartels.
But it's the ability to break them down, and to take them down. And just like David and Goliath.
Well, and the internet is what ultimately undid the music industry. And because bands could promote their own damn music.
That's right.
And that's why I love South by Southwest, because South by Southwest began with that. It started with this nascent independent music industry that sprouted out of this nascent internet. And these independent musicians essentially got together and said, let's help each other use this to promote ourselves, so we don't have to go work for Capitol Records and get 2 cents per album, right? Or whatever, And it began with that. And people ask me, well, how did the how is it that interactive media, digital media, I mean, all of that, you know, technology come out of South by Southwest. That was a big music meetup.
Yeah.
A bunch of garage bands, you know. That's because it began with that original disruption.
Oh, see.
And then it was the technology that disrupted
yeah.
it for the musicians, and then the technology just kept taking center stage.
Yeah.
As the, you know, it is a huge meetup of disruptors.
Yeah.
And
I remember all that actually.
it's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Really fun.
That's why it's so compelling to me.
And it wasn't even the tech that really was the exciting part particularly. It was that everybody, you know, these people just like, they were just like, yeah, we're just going to do it. You know, and then they did it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was great. And it worked for everybody else.
And then it started to disrupt all kinds of things. And, you know, yeah. So this is the next wave of disruption I see.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to help disrupt. Anyway, but that's great. I think I've come away with, okay, let me help build the deck. I get it. I don't know why it's taken me so long to see, like, you got to have a deck. Yeah. Because you typically got to have that to put in front of funders and other advocates. And the other is, you know, okay, let me try to translate some of the stuff to a new start join page. And then I'll continue on the social media stuff. I mean, I've just barely dabbled in it so far. Shared a couple of things, but I need to really look at people who are following us, who we're following, find other people we're following, try to get us in front of them just by virtue of sharing their things. And then as we raise a little bit of money, then I can start to do some boosted, promoted posts.
Right. And
we can do it to, you know, people who have exhibited interest in all things blockchain or Bitcoin, and as a, you know, again, to try to attract them to the alpha sale. Yeah. So that's it. Does that make sense of a sort of a go forward plan? Yeah. And we can all get together on the chat. I'll try to chat about it as far as like what the particulars of how we want to, like how much if we should do 3,000 or maybe we should do, you know, do we really want to fund this way? Is that something we want to do? How do we, oh yeah, that other part. We don't want to forget that. What exactly are we getting or what are they getting? I mean, we know they're getting the token and the potential future gains of a crowd sale or an IPO kind of thing. Yeah. Or a coin IPO or whatever. There's that, but there's also you know, what do we plan to do with it? Like for instance, you know, promotion is we need, you know, promotion, I would think, would be very useful because that gets the word out. Lets everybody know about it. Other people can be involved. If people want to pick it up, they can understand it. I still have a hard time people understanding it. It's really hard for people to understand it, and I think that's a very important part of it. There's another thing, which is the code itself. Okay, so right now we have a prototype, but it's kind of iffy functioning. You know, it could do some work. And you know, Brian Bowles wants to work on it, and I want to work on it. But we both, you know, don't have too much time to do that. I've been doing all this promotion stuff and trying to carry the company along, and I really haven't had time to jump into the code, which I'd love to do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So the code. Yeah, I mean, I love the code. I'm like, so yeah, I love the code. I want to get back into it. Brian does too. You know, we can throw some, you know, help throw some money our way to do that. That's another thing. Right. That way we don't, or just time. I mean, if time, you know, I get pretty involved in all the promotion and doing this stuff. I'm still kind of at that point. But if you wanted to kind of take some of this over too, I'd totally be okay with that. You know, let's see where that evolves. More integrated and more, you know. The more I think I develop different pieces that I can share, and then, but you know, the more I get to know the community that you already have, I know you and Brian Nelson, or anybody else out there for that matter. So anyone else can, you know, kind of take over this thing that I'm doing. But you know, I mean, I do have this vision, and I can help with that, and I can help teach people, and I can do what I can. So anyway, but a little bit of money would help with me
putting in some time into actually coding it and getting it working better,
right.
Getting ourselves to that MVP, to that final product.
Because you got to be able to show some working.
We want something that's useful.
Yeah.
Before we need to crowd sell.
Right.
That's the key. Something that people can actually use that's useful. It may not be perfect. It doesn't have to be super secure. It just has to be useful in some respect. And so what we picked was we picked a trading bot. So that's what we want to do.
Right.
We want to have a Neureal-based trading bot that trades cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Right? Goes out, gathers the data. It's an AI project. Everybody, it's a sexy AI project. People love this. Okay, Max Goff, he knows about it. That was one of the things he was really interested in. Greg also, who shares the office here, he's super interested, and that's why he wanted to do it. All these big data guys, they all want to do it. They all want to, trade crypto. A lot of them want to trade cryptocurrency. They have some Bitcoin. They want to throw it into this, thing and get some money and have it automatically trade for them, stuff like that. So, so it's a really sexy kind of big thing that I think it's a very difficult problem to solve. It's a very difficult thing. We're not going to succeed out of the chute, but it is going to be as good or better than what's out there, and that's what we want to prove, that it's better than what's out there,
because
it's at least not as good.
It's in this network where it can constantly bring in new algorithms, bring in more data,
that's right.
create different outputs that get analyzed and repeating the process.
Yeah, so we figure it's a really good start for the Neureal project, and when it has that side benefit that if it does work well, we can all make money, extra money, right? Let's just trade the currency, trade our own currency with our currency of the currency.
Right.
Trade the currency of the currency. Just have a meta currency. Anyway, so that's the basics of that. So we need to put something in there. There's already, like I said, if you read through the things for the alpha sale, like the alpha sale notes and also the alpha sale page itself that Peter created, you can get a sense of those things.
Okay.
But if you get a sense of that, and then you look at the direction we're going, maybe we can talk about that more. You can get a better sense of that at another time, or whatever. Then we can flesh that part out. That will give people more of an incentive, and maybe we can raise the bar, and we can talk about that in the start join.
Yeah.
And we can say, okay, here in the start join, this is exactly what we're going to do. This is what we plan on. This is what it's all about. And what are the incentives for those people to then contribute? Obviously, they did 3,000. We could. If we got all that together, I think for this next thing, you're going to be gone for a while, right?
I'm gone tomorrow through Saturday.
Oh, okay. So about a week. I think the way it is already might be good enough. I mean, if we just decide, at the first of the year, I'm thinking around the first of the year, we don't have to do it right now. Around the first of the year, we just come up with something that's better than what we have, and we just start it up again. I mean, I'm thinking that's the best thing to do. And incorporate maybe some changes into the message we give for what they're contributing to, lower it down so that it can fund. Maybe we'll lower it to 3,000. Right. And then once it does fund, then we'll say, I'll have to manually send everybody out their coin, which is okay though. I'll do that. I'll manually send everybody out their coin that contributed, and then we'll have a plan for what to do with that 3,000 and what actually we're going to do with it. So we have that kind of laid out so they know where it's going to be spent.
Okay.
And then we'll spend it, and we'll do that. But then we'll, whether that's paying Brian to work on it, or doing me some to work on it, or doing a bigger marketing push like you're talking about. I don't know how much you'd need to do really something. I'm sure it's like whatever they have to spend, right?
And it would be, in my mind, it would be to, I guess, just to widen the awareness of it, to get. Probably would be using the money more for the crowd fund of it. I don't know. I mean, maybe if we can raise, say we got $3,000, and say there was $1,000 to spend on marketing.
Okay.
I would guess that would be spent, and actually not for the crowd fund, or crowd sale, but for the alpha sale, right? To try to, because I guess maybe are there certain goals that we need to try to achieve, and maybe we need to think about it that way in terms of, okay, we need to try to raise this much money in order to develop the product, to create that prototype that you've talked about, and to really put together all the materials that we'll need to do a true crowd sale.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly what we got to do. Those are the goals.
Okay. So we should have we should figure out what that amount of money is.
Yeah.
And between the alpha sale, I don't know if it's.
I estimated it at about 60,000.
Okay.
That's what I was going to do. 6 months at 10,000 every month.
Oh,
10,000.
Right.
That's what I estimated it at. Okay. If we can do that, we can. It just takes longer. Like the less money we have, the longer it takes.
Right.
So it's not
like you need the 60,000 before you can start.
Yeah.
But essentially, again, the 60,000 to finish the prototype and develop what you need to fully launch a crowd sale.
That's right.
Where would you launch the crowd sale?
We would launch it. We would do it in a similar way that everybody else does it with crowd sales.
Okay.
It's a big marketing push.
Sure.
Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, it happens within usually within some sort of a crowd sale architecture that's a third party.
Right.
For instance, it used to be Coinify was big.
So I was going to ask if there were Bitcoin or blockchain-based crowd sale portals or whatever.
Well, StartJoin is one of those.
Okay.
So it could actually happen on StartJoin.
Okay.
For the big one. Bank to the Future may be a good place to really get something. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's just more of a angel investing kind of place.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a coin intrinsic. But StartJoin does. StartJoin has a coin intrinsic into it.
Let's see. So Bank to the Future has all kinds of investment. It's like, yeah.
Does it have a coin though involved in it? Does that have a coin?
You can search for things to invest in. You can apply for finance.
But no intrinsic coin. I don't. Because that's what it would need.
Unless it uses Bitcoin.
It might.
It's because it talks about that over 10 million Bitcoin have been invested.
Really?
16,000 plus professional investors. Anyway, you should check it out. I mean, I haven't. Anyway,
so that's that.
We should check that out, and because you have
goal is going to go. Yeah, so we'll all be doing it
together.
We'll all be doing it together. So
okay.
Anyway, so there's that.
Let me ask you: is there an option for angel investors through the alpha sale? In other words, if somebody said, "I'll put $10,000 in," you'll do that, or $60,000 in.
Yeah, but that's the max.
But that's the max.
I was thinking 30,000 a month would be the max, but I don't think we need that.
So, but then they would just get the equivalent in Neureal coin, right?
What I was thinking is if somebody came up with like 30,000 or 60,000 right up the front, we would just take the money and we would make it happen with that money, during that time, however long it took. If it was 2 months or 2 weeks, whatever, or 6 months, maybe it did take actually 6 months to get there, and that could happen, but we wouldn't take any more than that is the point. So we don't need more than that. That way, we're not diluting.
Right. Yeah, you're not diluting it too much. It's only as right. So if that happened, you're willing to part with that much worth of Neureal.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Because that can be the other marketing approach. I mean, obviously, again, create the deck to get it in front of. Because I got to believe there's angel investors in blockchain-based enterprises.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't even know. Brian might do something once he gets funded. I don't know how he's going to. He basically said he wants me to work for him, so I would have a job with him, but I would devote 70% of my time. In other words, I would only have to work like a day a week or something for him.
Okay.
Like do basically, manage the direction of the project, go and be like in management position. And that's basically what I would do. And architecture. I would do architecture and management of the goal project. And then the rest of the time I could just be concentrated on the real. Now if that conflicts with my free VR stuff, if that gets big, I've got these two avenues of things that I could do.
I see.
I have the free VR and then the gold.
Yeah.
And if either one of them comes through,
you'll shift one to the other.
Yeah.
But even then, you'll only shift one to the other, probably enough to where you still have time to develop Neureal.
That's right. It doesn't have to. The thing about Neureal is the money doesn't have to go to me. If I'm off doing something else, I don't get that money. I can go to other developers. All I have to do is just.
I see.
You know what I'm
saying? Just need to manage it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to manage it particularly. I mean, as long as there's people there who see the vision, who can help go guide that, I'll be there to, get to help. But I don't need to that money doesn't have to go to me particularly.
So it can go into Neureal.
So if I shift somewhere else, it could go there. So I don't have to work on Neureal if I'm doing free VR and gold. I just have to put in the time for gold.
Right.
And I have to make sure that Neureal is using that money.
I see.
That I get through gold.
Okay.
Whether it's to me or to someone else.
Right.
So basically I'm in a management role at that point, or, whatever.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's kind of the plan, I think. That's probably what will happen. I mean, if Brian starts putting in, basically, if let's say that my salary is like $7,000-8,000 or something, it would be, we take some of that out and put it, I maybe make $2,000.
And the rest would go into Neureal.
And the rest would go to Neureal.
And so he would be getting investment. It's even better deal for him because instead of just paying you cash and that just going out, it's paying you through Neureal, and yet he's getting an investment in Neureal.
Right.
Yeah.
The gold is getting Neureal coin.
Right. They're paying for your services by getting Neureal coin.
Yeah, that's right.
And your services.
Yeah. Well, pay me cash for what I actually do for them.
Right.
For a day, a week, or whatever.
Okay.
And then.
But the rest of it would just be straight into Neureal.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plan.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so I could work out a deal with other people like that too. So for that. So anyway, so we're kind of.
I got it.
Yeah, you got something else.
But another great chat.
Yeah.
And
too bad we didn't get the other ones.
Some good takeaway. Yeah. But anyway, the more input, the more I can know I'll just keep chugging at it.
Cool.
The more I can explore with this, but I'll work on this deck. I'll work on, because maybe instead of, I was thinking I would work on maybe a very high level white paper, but the deck can be the same thing.
Yeah.
And you already have, remember
it's graphical.
And it's much more usable in terms of getting it in front of people
who understand that sort of process.
They're looking for that delivery.
Yeah.
Versus
and we do have the prototype too. Sometime I'll have to show you that prototype.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all concept, but
so you got to see the prototype.
That'd be great. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. We'll see you next time.